Hey there. The background's a little bit too in focus. Nancy, the background's too in focus. Get over here. Testing. Raul, we need a de-esser on this microphone. It's also a little bit too hot. All right, that sounds better. Now the boom mic is creating a shadow on my body. Nancy! Sorry, we are running on an absolute skeleton crow here. Crow. All right, this is take one. Action. Hey, how's it going? As you may know, virtual reality has gotten extraordinarily accessible recently, and what used to take a $1,000 headset tethered constantly to a state-of-the-art PC with room sensors and everything else can now be done for $300, not connected to anything, you're free. If I had more time, I would without a doubt be spending it with this helmet on. There's not been a point in the last couple of years where I have taken this technology for granted. It's incredible. If you are not yet sold on VR gaming, let me tell you about the thing that impresses me the most. When I was younger, I was a Golden Gloves boxing champion, humble brag, and that muscle memory actually translates nearly perfectly into a boxing game. And we all know that VR is very good at making your brain feel like you are in a different environment, but to be able to bring real-life skills into that environment and it work is just... But this ain't no gaming channel. I often wish that it was. You're here to find out if you can make, practice, or perform music untethered wearing an Oculus Quest. And I've tried out 8 different ambitious and mostly unfinished apps that claim to do just that. I don't know if I should go from the best experiences all the way down to the shit ones or the shit ones all the way up to the best ones. I suppose we might as well just stay traditional and start from the bottom and work our way up. Of course, at the end of this, I will show you how you can easily obtain all of these apps for yourself. So let's go. OnStage is a karaoke game where you stand on a stage and then the YouTube music service is projected on a giant screen behind an audience that I can only assume is the after party of a Jordan Peterson debate. And you can hear your own voice, although it was very glitchy and robotic sounding, which turned this fever dream into a full-blown nightmare.
What is that? There it is.
There it is.
A pasta ad. Couldn't you throw the microphone?
I actually did want to do karaoke, and I loaded up a Whitney Houston song, and I was about to sing it, and since there is a God, you're in luck. The program crashed, and you don't have to see that. Disclaimer, if I've not made it clear enough yet, a lot of this stuff is in early development, so if you are watching this video a year after the video came out, make sure to check on the progress if anything looks interesting to you, because it may have actually improved a whole lot from when I recorded this. I am, after all, just shamelessly complaining about free unfinished music games. I didn't really like Modulia Studio so much, and that might not be fair because one, it reminded me of Sharper Image for some reason. And for those of you too young to remember Sharper Image, it was basically a store version of Vaporwave many years before Vaporwave existed. Two, I gave up very early in the process of trying to hook this up with Ableton because let's just be honest here, until augmented reality exists in a very comfortable and functional way, this is a gimmick. So without controlling any other MIDI instruments in Ableton in standalone mode, these sounds were pretty uninspiring. But to Modulia's defense, I have seen videos of people using the Oculus Rift version and controlling different parameters of MIDI synths and it actually sounding halfway decent, and they seemed like they were having a lot of fun, so maybe it just did not resonate with me all that much. I did really like that I could resize the objects around me, and I also liked that while useless, I could make a little device shoot fireworks into my head while I was playing the keyboard. Ragtime is an Italian virtual drum set. I guess I should say that Ragtime is a virtual drum set designed by Italians. I feel like anytime you point out that a product is Italian, you're making it sound luxurious. So I didn't really read the description and I thought that I'd be able to play all of the instruments in this room, but no, drums only. There is a pretty good range of samples and customization, and you could move the drums around and add in different drums. However, the sample assigning page in the menu was utterly confusing to me for some reason. They also have backing tracks tracks, but they're not backing tracks without drums. They're actual finished tracks, and so I can't really include that here because I don't know if I'll get a copyright strike. Unfortunately, the tracking wasn't good enough for me to keep a beat, but I think my biggest gripe was that all of the drums are monophonic, meaning that the sounds cut themselves off for each individual drum. Increasing the polyphony to 3 or 4 will help it sound much more realistic, a lot like... Paradiddle is actually really impressive for what it is. Playing the drums without actually feeling the feedback of hitting an object is always going to be less accurate. This version of Paradiddle is in early access for Oculus Quest, but it is in a bit later stages of early access for other VR helmets on Steam, where it supports USB pedals and MIDI pedals for the kick drum. Apparently you could do this on the Quest as well, and I honestly probably put about an hour and a half digging through different pedals trying to get one to work, and none of them did, or they just crashed the program. So no kick pedal or hi-hat pedals for me. I had to use a button. For me, after about 10 minutes playing around, you would start seeing the drums reacting. However, you wouldn't be able to hear the sound, and you would have to restart the program to get it working again. However, once this is improved on, I could really see it being part of a game or even a music education platform. Soundstage is nearly 5 years old now, and I remember first seeing demos of it for the HTC Vive. The developers sort of left it as abandonware for a while, and then it became open source, and now here it is on the Quest. And what you're actually watching is a video of me playing it about a year ago, and it seems like a really functional, quirky, modular music environment. I assume that it still is, and with it being open source now, I imagine that there are even cooler instruments added to it. However, the tracking is a nightmare. I could not play this game for more than a few seconds without getting extreme motion sickness. There's these things here. This is so bad. Oh, I don't feel good. Tribe XR does one thing, and it does one thing really good. It emulates a Pioneer CDJ setup, and if you're a professional or even an experienced DJ, you will feel right at home almost instantly. I am definitely familiar with this deck setup, and after about half an hour of just getting used to my hands not feeling the things that I'm touching, I felt like I could probably comfortably import my music library and do an entire DJ set without any problems. And that's saying a lot. Now, if you're not a DJ or you're not familiar with this setup, do not fret, because the other half of this game is to teach people who are not DJs how to DJ, and it does that very well. It even has a multiplayer mode where you could create public events and invite people to virtually watch you DJ in real life. Behind the DJ booth, there's this ominous corner, and I kept trying to see what was back there, and the fact that I couldn't do it just made it even more creepy to me. Like, it made me think that if I turned around and just by the side of my eye I saw Slender Man, I would have a heart attack and die with my headset on. In fact, in this game, I got so distracted that I broke the golden rule of virtual reality. Do not lean on surfaces. I just need to bring this outside so I can just walk around and see what's around these corners. I bet there's something hidden there. SynthVR is a really promising modular synth emulator. Unlike Soundstage, they've balanced everything very well. It seems like they prioritize the audio processing and keep the environment around you simple and stylish. Nothing shoots plasma at you, there are no gimmicks, and everything just gets very comfortable very fast. I ran into a couple game-killing bugs, but I could just save my progress and then restart the app, and everything worked out fine. I would say the only other complaint I had was that some vital modules are missing, like quantize or sample and hold. There were some modules, like the envelope generator, for example, that behaved a little unexpectedly and needs a lot of tweaking, but if I imagine something like VCV Rack in this environment, dude, take my money and just bolt the VR headset to my skull. Judging from the name and screenshots, I expected Virtuoso to be gimmicky. It is not. In fact, even though it's an alpha and even though it has very limited sounds and instruments without any form of tutorial or manual reading, I just instinctively knew what to do and went to work. And miraculously, within the first 10 minutes or so, I had made subjectively the first halfway decent piece of music I've ever made in VR. There's a drum thing, a harp thing, a synth block thing, and everything is sequenced in an advanced looper that doesn't have any sort of quantization or anything like that. Of course, in the future, future, I would love to see a step sequencer and a quantizer and more instruments, and I would especially love to see a more in-depth way of editing effects and sounds. The reason Virtuoso is on top of my list is because I got way more distracted actually making music than I did with my surroundings or the functionality. And that's kind of the whole point, isn't it? I just had a lot of fun, and I want to go back and play some more. Finally, there's something that I've had my eye on that has been teased for a very long time called SynthSpace. It is not for the Quest, but I'm very excited to try it out once it is available. I just hope that my character doesn't have to have that man bun. Other than Tribe XR, which can be purchased from the Oculus store, every single thing that you saw today is either free or donationware through Sidequest. If you're not familiar with Sidequest, it's a tremendously generous project that acts as an alternative to the Oculus store. Even if you're not a musician, if you are bored of the games and apps in the Oculus store or simply just too broke to buy a new one, definitely give Sidequest a look. I will link Sidequest below. It is very easy and safe to set up, and if you run into any problems, there is a massive helpful community. As always, if you learned anything or liked this video, subscribe to my channel, click that little bell thing if you want updates when I upload new material. If there's anything you want me to cover in the future, let me know in the comments. And of course, if you want to support this channel, I have Bandcamp links down below with over 30 hours of music, and you could follow me on social media if you want to see what I'm up to on a more frequent basis. With that being said, bye.